Welcome back to Simple English Pod. I am really glad you are here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I have been looking forward to this conversation for a while now, and I have quite a few questions I'm hoping we can talk through together.
That is exactly what I love to hear. Questions mean you're thinking, and thinking means you are already on the right path. Tell me, what is your biggest challenge with English right now?
Honestly, I feel stuck in a way that's hard to explain. I've been studying English for several years now. I know many grammar rules, and I have a long vocabulary list. But when I actually try to speak, I freeze completely, and nothing comes out the way I want it to.
That experience is one of the most common things I hear from learners. And I want you to know something important. It's not a vocabulary problem. It's not a grammar problem either.
That's actually surprising to hear because I've always assumed that I just needed to learn more words before I would be ready. I thought more vocabulary was the answer to everything.
That's what most people believe. But here's something that truly surprised me when I first discovered it. The most common words in everyday English, the words that real people actually use when they talk to each other, there are far fewer of them than most learners imagine.
When you say far fewer, I'm curious what you actually mean by that. Are we talking about hundreds of words or something even smaller than that?
Think about a completely normal day for a moment. You wake up, you talk to someone at a shop, you ask for directions on the street, you order food at a cafe, you catch up with a friend in the evening. How many different words do you actually need to handle all of those moments comfortably?
I've never really stopped to think about it in that way before. When I imagine those situations one by one, I suppose it's probably not as many words as I always thought I needed.
Exactly. Researchers who study how language actually works in real life have found that a few hundred very simple and very common words can carry you through almost every real conversation you will ever have in your daily life.
A few hundred words. I have to be honest with you, that sounds almost too simple to be true. I expected the answer to be much more complicated than that.
I completely understand that reaction, but consider the words you already know right now. Words like go, come, take, give, want, need, help, good, bad, now, today, please, sorry, thank you. You already know all of these, yes?
Yes, of course I know all of those words. In fact, those words feel almost too basic to me. I always thought that using simple words like those would make my English sound weak or uneducated.
But those exact words are the ones that carry real conversations every single day between people all over the world. The real problem is not that learners don't know enough words. The real problem is that learners are waiting to feel ready before they speak. And that feeling of being ready very rarely comes on its own.
That's something I recognize deeply in myself. I keep telling myself that I'll speak more English when my level gets a little better, but somehow that better level never seems to arrive, no matter how much I study.
And it won't arrive until you begin speaking. That's the difficult but important truth. Speaking is not the reward you receive after learning. Speaking is the learning itself.
When you say it like that, it really does make a lot of sense to me. So, how does this idea actually work in a real situation? If I use only simple words, will people actually understand what I'm trying to say?
Not only will they understand you completely, they will appreciate how clear you are. Simple and clear is always far better than complicated and confusing. Nobody has ever complained that someone spoke too clearly or too simply.
That's a really good point, and I had never thought about it from that direction before. I think a lot of my fear comes from worrying that people will judge my English if I use words that sound too basic.
That feeling is very understandable and very common, but think about this for a moment. A confident person who says, I need help finding the station, is far more effective than someone who says nothing at all because they can't remember the perfect word for directions.
When you put it that way, it becomes very clear to me. It's better to say something simple and be understood than to say nothing and stay completely lost. I think I've been choosing silence when I should have been choosing simple words.
Communication is about connection between people. It's not about impressing anyone with complicated or advanced language. The only real goal is to be understood and to understand the person in front of you.
Could you give me some real examples of how simple words can handle a difficult or unexpected situation? I think hearing actual examples would help me understand this much better.
Of course, let's imagine you're at a pharmacy and you don't know the specific word for the medicine you need. What would you normally do in that situation?
If I'm completely honest with you, I would probably panic quietly and then say nothing at all. I would stand there hoping that somehow the problem would solve itself, which, of course, it never does.
But you could say something as simple as this: I have a pain here. It started 2 days ago. Can you help me, please? 3 short and simple sentences. Every single word is basic, and you would get exactly the help you need without any complicated vocabulary at all.
That really does work, and now that I hear it, I realize I already know every single one of those words. The problem is that I never think to use them in the moment when I actually need them most.
That happens because in the moment, you're busy searching for the perfect word, and while you're searching for it, the moment passes. The most important thing to remember is this: say what you know, not what you wish you knew.
Say what you know. I really like that as a way of thinking about it. It feels much more honest and much more human than trying to find a perfect sentence that never comes.
It is more honest, and it's also more effective in almost every situation. When you describe something using words you feel comfortable with, you sound natural. You sound like yourself, and that's something no grammar book in the world can ever teach you.
What should I do when someone uses a word that I don't understand? That happens to me very regularly in real conversations, and I often get completely lost quite quickly after that point.
The answer to that situation is also beautifully simple. You say one of these phrases: could you say that again, please? Or, what does that word mean? Or, I'm not sure I understood that clearly. Can you explain it in a different way?
Those phrases are genuinely so useful and so easy to remember. I think the reason I never use them is that I feel embarrassed to admit out loud that I didn't understand something. It feels like a kind of failure to me.
Asking for clarification is actually a sign of intelligence and engagement. It tells the other person that you are listening carefully and that you genuinely care about understanding them correctly. Every fluent speaker does this regularly, even in their own language.
That's a really important shift in how I think about it. I've always felt that admitting I didn't understand was something to be ashamed of, but now I can see it's actually the opposite of that.
Exactly. The learners who grow the fastest are always the ones who ask the most questions. Curiosity and honesty are two of the most powerful tools in any language learner's journey.
So, what is your single most important piece of advice for someone who is in exactly the position I'm in right now and wants to start making real progress with their speaking?
Begin today. Find one real moment in your day where you can use English. It doesn't need to be long and it doesn't need to be perfect. Say something, anything at all. A simple greeting, a short question, a thank you. That one real moment is worth more than an hour of silent studying alone.
One real moment every day. That feels like something I can actually commit to, and it feels much less frightening than trying to have a perfect long conversation all at once.
Those small moments build on each other in a very powerful way. One small conversation leads naturally to another. Your confidence grows a little each time. Your fear becomes smaller, not because your English suddenly becomes perfect, but because you prove to yourself again and again that you can do it.
I feel genuinely motivated right now in a way that I haven't felt about my English for a long time. This conversation has really changed the way I think about speaking and about what I'm actually capable of.
That makes me very happy to hear. Always remember this: simple is not weak, simple is clear. Clear is confident, and confident is exactly what every learner deserves to feel every single day.
Thank you so much for everything you've shared today.
I honestly feel like I've been carrying a heavy weight about my English for years, and this conversation has helped me finally put it down.
That's a beautiful way to express it. Thank you for being so open and honest throughout our conversation today. That kind of courage and honesty is the most important ingredient in learning any language well.
I will carry that with me. Thank you again so much for your time and for everything you shared with me today.
Thank you for being here and for listening so carefully. Keep speaking every day. Keep trying when it feels difficult. And please be kind to yourself along the way. You are doing so much better than you think you are.